Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Santa Rita Union School District Board meeting, August 24th. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:01. If we can start off with the roll call, please.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval.
Here.
Miss Sarah Turner.
Here.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Here.
Mr. Neil Patel and Miss Elva Ariano are not present.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, move on to item 1.3, approval of the board agenda. Can I please get a motion to approve the board agenda?
I move to approve.
Second, please.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval.
Aye.
Miss Sarah Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, today on closed session items, we have item 2.1, potential litigation under Government Code Section 54956.8 and 54956.9. We have item 2.2, public employee appointment/employment under Government Code Section 54957. We have item 2.3, conference with labor negotiators under Government Code Section 54957.6. We also have item 2.4, public employee performance evaluation under Government Code Section 54957. Do we have any public comments regarding closed session items?
No, we do not.
Okay, and we also have Mr. Neil Patel here as well. Good evening. Can I get a motion to adjourn to closed session, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Neil Patel.
Aye, Captain.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval.
Aye.
Miss Sarah Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, see everybody afterwards. Okay, welcome back. We're going to reconvene back into open session. During closed session, the board appointed Jesus Medina as Supervisor of Maintenance, Operation, and Facilities. The vote was 4-0. So congratulations. Okay, before we get to, actually 5.1 approval of the consent agenda, I think Sarah had mentioned.
Yes, just a clarification, under the personnel consent items, under appointments, Alexandra Cuevas as library media technician, just a clarification that she's going to be at Gavilan View. It lists New Republic on the paperwork. So just, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the consent agenda with that amendment, that clarification of Alexandra Cuevas's work site is at Gavilan View.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Neil Patel,
Aye, Captain.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Aye.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Ms. Elva Ariano is not present tonight. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We're moving on to 6.0, reports, information, and correspondence. Start off with 6.1. Is anybody here from SRTA or any public comments?
I have a comment
Okay.
from Heather Varela. It says, "Good evening. First and foremost, we teachers want to thank the board and district administration for choosing to keep class sizes low this year. We are very grateful for this decision that will impact our students' success rate. Teachers are finishing up iReady testing and are adapting to students' needs and setting up interventions. The addition of super subs at each site has been very helpful and appreciated. Thank you, Heather Varela, SRTA President."
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 6.2, CSEA. Okay, thank you for joining us. 6.3, Department Spotlight, SRUSD Technology Department. That's okay.
As you can see, they're work in
I
progress.
know. And I'm sure the board notices we have a projector screen and much bigger.
Well, that was the big ta-da.
Sorry.
No, you're
I
fine.
stole the thunder.
Yes, thank you, board members. Thank you, superintendent. So yes, for our EdTech update, as requested from last meeting, we've been super busy, as you can see. And I would like to first thank our team. We've had an amazing start to the year, and I can't be more thankful to Hussam, Karen, Robert, Sam, totally on the ground, getting out to the sites, making sure everyone's set up. And of course, our library media technicians at all the sites, just getting everything distributed and working with all of our teachers and communicating with us the needs of the staff. So greatly appreciated. So for the start of the year, as I was saying, with our onboarding, we were getting connected through everything, making sure all of our curriculum is onboarded for our staff, making sure the devices and tools are hooked up and ready to go. And as far as our new teacher training, Karen Yoder and the other TOSAs brought in our new teachers, got them familiar not only with our applications, but also some of the other, like with iReady training, as you heard, that's going on right now. And as far as our team, I've been sitting down having some listening sessions, which I believe is very important and crucial. So that way we can work together and get our team building going. Well, yeah, that's okay. Okay, okay. Yeah. And so for the start of the year, let's see if I can get, can you advance me? It's being, thank you. So ongoing systems, structures, really, especially my coming in, seeing what systems we currently have and what ones we can further develop and adjust. And so we currently are in the process of reviewing our onboarding processes, and we'll be doing some more backward planning toward the end of the year to make sure that we have an even smoother start to the next school year. Again, the listening sessions and what I call empathy walks or empathy interviews, I will be kind of tailing our IT techs, our media specialists, our teachers, and seeing what needs they have out there, how they're currently utilizing technology and tools, and maybe even finding some more ways to have some efficiency in how they're utilizing them. And in terms of professional development, Karen Yoder will be getting our teachers on board with looking through ARIES, getting the grade books and understanding how to set up their classrooms, as well as Nearpod in the next session. So we'll be having some ongoing professional development. And we're also working on tracking department services and staff needs through our Mojo tickets. And we'll be making some adjustments as that comes as well. Yep. And then I'll need you to go ahead and hit the play. So as you see, our boardroom is set up right now as it is, and we've got our projector going, but I'd like you to take a look at what professional development playground. So the vision really is to have this room be set up to be a model classroom in a setting where our teachers can, especially coming in as new teachers, they have their devices, they have all those pieces that they have set up for them. This is what their classroom would look like. We also have the ability to set up stations so we can try out new technologies and to test them out, pilot them, see what things, because it's always changing. But making sure that we have those devices in the hands of those that use them so they can best give us feedback as to how they can ideate and create their learning spaces for students. So that's where we're headed.
Great. Questions and comments from the board?
I know you're just getting into, with all your team building and everything, but this is going back a couple of years. I haven't checked it recently, but Mr. Gutierrez was just so awesome at updating his website, and it was just like daily, or I'm not sure what he did, but is there a plan, or maybe just to put a thought in your head, if I'm not sure who the responsibility to maintain those websites at each school site, but if it is the principals, not every principal is has the same maybe capacity for updating the website, but just a thought, in the future, just to help, all the school sites get really great information.
Any other questions or comments?
Just a quick comment, maybe a question. For me, technology has always been the issue of integration, making sure that the LMS is working with the grading book, with the other apps that we're buying licenses for. So I just want to make sure that, systems are being integrated well and issues are being resolved. And also as additional licenses are purchased for various apps, if you will, make sure that they're being properly utilized and needed by the staff. I know sometimes we end up getting stuff we don't need or is not being used, but the idea of ability of staff to contact district tech and get stuff resolved, as soon as possible. So those are the areas of concerns I have always, and so hopefully, you can keep that in mind, and because to me that's what a well run district tech program is. So. That's just my input there. Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you for the presentation. It's exciting to see as far as the potential of having a test classroom that, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I want an avatar. I like the metaverse there. I can see myself. Thank you.
I can see you too. No, I appreciate that having a test classroom. I think as we move forward, I think part of our vision of our school district is, making our students, successful in the world, and part of that's going to be technology. So I think the more we can incorporate teachers to kind of incorporate that in the classroom is awesome. And I do think how he was mentioning, I think two things I do want to see is updating on the website, and the other thing that I think we got busy, but it's good that you came on board now, is something to have is the school board meetings at different school sites. So maybe just kind of put that back on the radar, so we can maybe choose a couple of times this year.
We have our audio equipment
Okay,
in order.
perfect, yeah.
We're just waiting for it.
Okay, perfect, just kind of put it in there. Okay,
Oh yeah, just also it was really cool to be able to visualize that classroom because basically it's going to be like, well, first I was excited. Is it AI like to that the cameras will change? Oh. Oh, okay. Oh. Okay. Well, I was really excited to be able to visualize that classroom. So, and is that going to be like you said like a test classroom where the teachers can come in and do like practice or?
That'll be this room. It'll be
This
this room,
room.
bro. This room, yeah, this room.
Oh, fantastic! All right. Well,
So
thank you.
we'll get to see it.
Yes, thank you. Thank
Okay.
you for the update.
Well, thank you for
I'm
the
excited.
presentation. Okay, moving on to 6.4, Superintendent's Cabinet. Start off with Director of Nutritional Services, Mr. Chuck Helm.
Hi, good evening. So a company named Therma reached out to me last week, and they specialize in monitoring refrigerator and freezer equipment units. So I requested a quote. They typically offer quotes for leasing the equipment monthly. But what I asked is, can we get one to buy the equipment? That way we own it. They have an app service. It's Wi-Fi based, so we can monitor our own refrigerators and freezers. So that's crucial in keeping up with food loss. There's been times when a unit will go down over the weekend. We won't know about it till Monday. We have no way of monitoring what the temperature was and if the food should be thrown out. So I'm going to compare their quotes with some of their competitors and hopefully get an agenda item on the meeting, in the next few meetings. Daniel Stonebloom, also from Lagunita School, he reached out to me as well. We used to provide meals for Lagunita School back prior to I was here, actually. I think the last time was 14-15, the year before I got here. So it's going to take some time. He's requested service again, but it's going to take some time to get the paperwork ready, get them added to our application with the CDE. But the timing is actually pretty good because we won't be serving meals to the preschool anymore. So to make up for that loss, we'll hopefully take on Lagunita. So more info on that to come. And that's it for me.
Gavin, have you?
Oh, it's amazing. The kitchen is absolutely amazing. Our staff loves it. I think the stove got delivered, so we're just waiting on the ovens probably. But yeah, it's working out great.
Oh, Chuck, my apologies first. I probably should have given you a heads up, but randomly a parent reached out to me from that school, and unfortunately they haven't been getting provided meals for a long time, and because they're not signed, it was my understanding because they weren't signed up with free meals that they also didn't qualify for things like pandemic EBT and other things. I said, well, reach out to our district. I'm sure they can do something to help those students. So I appreciate that you're in communication. So thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, it shouldn't be that much of a transition. I just got to get in touch with the CD and see how we can add them again. We previously have served them, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue.
Chuck, at some point, if the new change at the state in terms of, I know we were already doing free meals to all the kids, but if this state legislation is going to change any of how we do business, if you could let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't change much for us. We still are collecting alternative income forms. If we were collecting meal applications, we would still have to collect them. It just changes what the reimbursement is really. So all of our students eat at no charge. I guess the biggest change would be the schools at Monterey County Office of Education for the special ed classes. We're no longer going to charge them per student. We'll just charge them a monthly fee for administrative purposes. But other than that, there's not a lot of changes for us. But great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
No, I just been very impressed with the development of the kitchen, with the supply chain issues going on and the fact that we're progressing really well. Other places don't have equipment, it's just not coming in. And the fact that, we are progressing, we're almost done with it. I'm very pleased with the development of that. In terms of the state, does this mean there'll be less paperwork in terms of, because we have to usually jump through a lot of hoops just to get all of our students fed. So does this mean there'll be less drama on that front?
With this meeting being recorded, I'm not going to comment too much on that, but I would guess that there's going to be the same amount of paperwork, maybe just different paperwork, just less for our parents probably.
Okay, thank you for your update. Okay, and moving on to our Chief Business Officer, Ms. Rosa Zamudio. Welcome back.
Yay, I'm finally back. And believe it or not, I'm still catching up with emails. I just want to comment really quick on previous conversation. We still have to collect the income applications from all of our parents. And even though everyone is going to be getting free lunches, we still need to collect it for LCFF purposes and LCAP purposes. So looking at those numbers, the state will tell us how many students we have that are low income and how much funding we can get, not only for LCAP, but also for Title I funds, Title III, Title IV, and all of those that usually they look at those numbers and they tell us or allocation based on that. So it's still really, really important that parents turn in those forms because it does help out with funding. So in regards to less paperwork on that side, no, we still have to collect forms and we still have to go through the process. So this week I've been really,
That form, do we usually collect everybody's form, or is it just a certain percentage that only turn it at the end, or how?
Rosa, I can answer a little bit too based on,
Yeah.
so we've been working together. Rosa was able to also create the digital form of that. So there's a printed copy. So we've been able to send it out repeatedly digitally through Parent Square for families to fill out, as well as notifications to the site for the site principals to send out printed copies. What we'll do is next week we talked about, once we've had that opportunity, we'll see who hasn't submitted forms, and our community liaisons will support with making contact to get those forms back in.
But typically in the past, is there a certain percentage that doesn't turn it in, or?
I don't know that we even.
Yeah, and it's usually, we usually have a pretty good rate of around 80 or 85%. Our goal is 100%, right? Because, and so one of the things that Rosa did is she also drafted a communication out to families to explain why it's important for us to get this. So yes, all children here eat free, but it also helps with these other funding things, and it helps if everyone fills it out, even if you don't think you qualify.
Actually, that's what I wanted to hear. That you mentioned that Rosa created something to explain why they need to fill out. I know a couple of years ago, and they just reminded me of that, had parents approach me saying, why do I need to fill this out for? But now that there's more communication as far as the importance of it, that's kind of what it is. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to clarify for the public and people, that the state is still asking all of the schools to fill out the form because California wants to continue to get the federal dollars, and not, like, the state is basically saying we'll kick in like what the feds are not covering, but they still need the federal government to cover what they were covering before.
My concern is always the outreach, is making sure those community members who might have a different documentation status, I don't want that fear of having to file a form with the government prevent them from doing so. So, whatever outreach we're doing to make sure that there is no connection between the two. And so I think we need to alleviate that fear, especially on certain population groups within our stakeholders, especially our parents.
Okay. No, I appreciate we have the community liaisons now to kind of step in for that portion. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rosa.
Sorry, I know I went already, but just if I can add a little bit to that. The form that we created this year with the help of Rosa and her staff, it's a simplified form. They don't have to give a specific income information. They give a range. There's less info that they need to put on it. And with the electronic form, I can give you some numbers. I think the first communication from Summer went out last Wednesday, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Summer. By Friday, we had over 300 submitted electronically. And then this morning, or as of right now, I'm looking at it right now, we have 610. So they're coming in. The outreach is definitely working. So thanks to Summer and Rosa for that.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Rosa, to interrupt.
No, that's fine. And yeah, like everyone mentioned, we made it super easy that even on the letter, we have the QR code, so parents can even scan that code with their phone and fill it out on their phone. The form is available in 9 different languages, including Spanish. So like Chuck mentioned, it's less information and it should be easier to fill out for the parents. And just adding that memo, that letter saying this is important because we're also getting this other funding. Even though we're getting free meals, we're also getting this other funding. And hopefully that can help out to get more participation. So besides that, I've been working also with principals. It's a new year, new budget. So I've been working on them, going over their school side budget funding. They have some questions, especially the new principals. So I've been spending some time on that. I know some people had a question in regards to the 45-day budget revision. As you know now, we're past the deadline, and the feedback from the county was not to do the 45-day budget revision as we don't have the information from the state yet. So the good news is that we know that there's 2 funds coming up. They're one-time funds. One is gonna be for arts, music, and instructional materials. And then the other one is gonna be for learning recovery. So we still don't have the exact dollar amount released by the state, which is what we use to build the budgets. So we're waiting for the state to give out that information, and they're also gonna give out restrictions because these are restricted dollars. They're gonna tell us the time that we have to spend the funds and the things that we can do to spend these funds. So we're waiting for additional information on that, and as soon as they provide that, I'll be happy to share that with everyone in general. I'm also working with HR constantly on the AB 1200 and the public disclosures and the salary sketches as well. And we are also getting ready to close the books, which is coming up next month. So we're starting a little bit behind this year, but we're getting on board and we're just starting the process. I also want to share that I'm really excited that now I'm full staff. And as you know, there were promotions within my department. So I'm excited that we have a lot of cross training. One of my employee, now he can do 3 positions. So there's going to be a lot of coverage. And then we have the other employee who can cover 2 positions as well. So a lot of cross training, a lot of learning, and I'm really excited about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions and comments from the board?
So happy to see you back.
And I would just say thank you for continuing to implement the technology aspect of it. I know you've slowly been doing like the time cards and now the survey and stuff. I'm sure that makes things a lot easier and more efficient for our district, so thank you. Okay, moving on to Director of Special Education and Student Services, Ms. Melanie Grundy.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. Really excited to report that I've gotten into all of our special ed classrooms over the last few weeks, and that the SPED team, including our new SPED TOSA, have really prioritized getting in and modeling lessons in our new SPED teachers' classrooms, as well as meeting with them before their first IEP meetings, doing the IEPs meetings together, and then even modeling the lesson. I was able to be in one that was maybe a little more difficult. It was one of our new teachers' first IEPs that he was running, and he did a great job. We did a lot of front loading and just did a fantastic job. So excited to be able to provide that level of support. Also just been hiring, so really grateful to the HR department and Becky's team. We're still working on paraprofessional positions. We still have an RSP middle school teacher position that we're recruiting for. And then really excited to share that we have a preschool SDC offer out and are working on hiring paperwork, and just really excited about this hire and them continuing to co-teach in our SDC preschool. Yeah, that's it for me. Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you for the update.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to Director of Parent, Family, and Community Engagement, Dr. Summer Prather-Smith.
I took the longest last time, so I'm going to take the shortest. No. I just really want to use my time to thank Ms. Berta Hasso, who's been out supporting our Little Bear Creek preschool this month as we transition. She's really been a steady rock for that team as the transition has been occurring. So her last day with us will be on Friday. Officially, the preschool will be transferring over to MCOE. It'll be closed for a couple days, and they've worked with the families on that to do some of the upgrades that they need to do and redo the licensing requirements. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about that for our families as well. So thank you to Ms. Berta Hasso for her support during that time. And then also just a thank you to Krisha and her support as we work to implement programs like Behavior Flip. It's been really great to have somebody to go to and kind of brainstorm that back end process to make sure that that is usable for our teachers. So thank you.
And just to clarify, the updates will be made to the classrooms on our sites, right? Correct? The one
At
that-
Little Bear Creek,
Little Bear Creek, yeah.
MCOE is going to be doing that. So
That's
they're
right.
going to, yeah.
Okay.
MCOE takes care. It's going to be all them
Yeah.
after that. So they're ready to go and the staff is ready for it.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I'm just very excited to have Little Bear Creek, transition to Santa Rita. That is definitely an area of need, and the shorter distance for our families to travel, and lessening the traffic jam we have over here sometimes. So thank you for all your work you're doing there.
Okay. Okay, moving on to Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Ms. Donna Coney.
Good evening. Again, I'm going to shout out to IT department tonight. So from Sam and Hussam and Robert and the media techs and Krisha and Karen Yoder, getting this school year started from the emergency radios to the Chromebooks and the curriculum, and making sure that all the cameras are working, and just to really, some things were a little more urgent sometimes, but some things, so I want to thank them personally. And our backwards mapping plan, as we see hiccups, we're starting to think, okay, for next year, school starts here, what does that look like? All the way backwards mapping to February. So we've already started those visions. My whiteboard's been really busy, so that's been exciting. Our site principals working with the budgets, and Rosa also will be setting up meetings to start helping them. I'll be assisting them with their SIPSAs and school site plans. They're getting their school site councils onboarded, and their back to school nights have gone well. I believe Gavilan Views is tomorrow. Academic coaches and EL specialists have been working on the initial LPACs and monitoring the iReady scores, and benchmarks about to close. And our district curriculum council meeting, our first one will be Monday at 3:30. I didn't know if Sarah wanted to still be invited. We're going to be focusing on the math piloting.
Yes, invite me. I might not be able to come Monday. I think next week is a solid wall of meetings, but invite me anyway.
I'll keep you on the meeting invite, and you're always more than welcome to come. Thank you. And I have another thing tonight, so we'll be talking about. Thank you.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? No? Okay, thank you for the update. Okay, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resource, Ms. Becky Moore.
Thank you. Just a few things to report for HR. We are still working very hard to fill positions. And even after the school year has started, we've had a few resignations that happens. So we're going to continue working and doing our best to get every spot filled. Today, Nurse Semmelman and I met with all of the school secretaries, clerks, and health aides, who all kind of help with the reporting of parents of COVID. And so just going over the current protocols, making sure that everybody is on the same page and aware of what CDPH is recommending at this time. And we're expecting more updates in September, so as soon as we get those, we will communicate those out as well. It seems like cases have gone down a little bit from what we saw the first week of school, so hopefully that trend continues. We are getting ready to begin our assignment monitoring for credentials and assignments, and that's always a year behind. So the assignment monitoring that I'll be working on for the next month and a half will be for the 21-22 school year. And so I'll report on that once I have our exceptions figured out. A lot of things will come through as things for me to explain. Often core assignments come up that way, or students with disabilities, making sure that they're appropriately placed with the teacher based on the IEP recommendations. But we have less than half of the exceptions that we had the year before to go through, and so that's good news. We're working in the right direction. And finally, Rosa mentioned a little bit that she and I, along with our teams, have been working on looking at the salary schedules for confidential, classified, and management. And tonight we do have classified confidentials 22, 23 schedule online, but we have held off on both management schedules because as we looked at them, we have found some structural problems within them, and we want to make sure to address that appropriately. So we're going to do some deeper analysis on that before we bring any recommendations. Thank you.
Okay, questions or comments from the board?
What's the number of FTEs that we don't have for certificated teachers?
As of today, it is 6.
Not bad considering the situation.
Not ideal, but I know as I talk to other HR directors from other districts, I feel like we're in a pretty good space. But of course, our goal is 100%.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, thank you for the update. Moving on to the board and the superintendent, we'll start off with Mr. Jose Andrew Sandoval.
Thank you. Well, I just get a chance to visit some of the school sites in the morning. It's so great to see all our principals out there, and especially at John G. He's really connecting with each student. Over at what school is that? It's your neighborhood. New Republic. My name, it just slipped my mind. Maybe we could reach out to the city because their crosswalk used to have a little protruding thing that said like children crossing or something, but it's gone. Yeah, somebody probably took it with them. So if we could maybe reach out and see if we can get that replaced. Oh, and also I'm very excited to announce that this last Saturday they installed the speed bumps on Boulevard. So I'm very excited. And
that's by Santa Rita.
That's by Santa Rita, yeah.
Okay, all right. Mr. Neil Patel?
Not much, except the traffic congestion is just getting worse. When I talk to New Republic, you go down in front of BK and stuff, it's a mess. Parking, we have more people picking up and dropping off students than normal. I don't know what it is this year, but the traffic jams, I really think the city really needs to, increase patrols. We have parents that are risking the lives of their children by having them exit cars in the middle of the street. I'm very concerned about that. I would love to see the police come out and do more patrols and for the safety of our students. When I see stuff like that, it boggles the mind. It just hurts me. This is preventable possible injuries. So, the traffic congestion and letting the city know that what's happening out there. And, I understand, morning time is not that big of a time for the police and patrols in terms of drama. So, if somehow we can talk to them and have them do more patrols and maybe issue some tickets, I always support parents, but when parents are going to do dangerous things, I do not support that whatsoever. When they're having their kids exit the car in the middle of the street and cross another car, I work at LaSalle and we've had injuries every year because of this. And I would hate to see that happen to our little school district. So, whatever we can do to protect our students, especially from parents and whoever's dropping off people, I would rather you be late than sorry. And I think we need to make an effort of making sure parents are, parking 1 block away, 2 blocks away. If you have to walk, so be it. But the idea that you're going to jam up streets and create traffic jams and then have other parents use as an excuse to have the kids exit the car in an unsafe situation is unacceptable to me. So, I do see that concern. I've talked to parents about it, but unless the city gets involved, and has that authoritative police state in terms of patrolling and making sure laws are being abided by, I'm really worried. So, once again, whatever we can do to contact the city and at least ask for some more patrols out there to come out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sarah Turner?
Building on what Mr. Patel said, Ms. Alderman, if you can reach out to Supervisor Phillips' office, because the last time we did a meeting in regards to that, his office organized it, and the sheriff's department came, and the police department, and the highway patrol, and you can't solve everything, but it brought more heads in, and it it helped for a while, and now we're in a new situation with a new schedule.
I totally support that. I think when you issue tickets, it leaves a mark, and those people remember that for a while. I'm not saying that's going to change the entire process, but it does create a difference. So,
But
I
we
strongly do.
we had a public meeting at La Jolla with all the affected agencies, and people came from the neighborhood and brought their concern. So I thought it was helpful. I've lost all of my train of thought because I'm still thinking about the traffic and people being unsafe. Just going forward, I have a lot of different meetings. I'll be talking to some different Santa Rita people this week, and I'm excited about that. And I'm going to hold the rest of my comments for later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For myself, I attended the back to school night at La Jolla. It was great seeing parents and kids back at school and just kind of getting back into the flow of things. I do appreciate the bilingual translation, for not only what the teachers did and bringing their forms in both Spanish and English, but also when the principals and vice principals did that as well. So I do appreciate that. Ms. Rattel was mentioning about the traffic. One of the biggest things that's coming up that you guys keep hearing, and I'm just going to keep bringing it up, is the West Area development. Part of what's going on, especially for everybody in the public, is our district has been fighting to be able to build more schools in the West Area. If we don't, that means that we have to make our current schools larger, which means we're going to have extra traffic worse than it is now. So just keep that in mind, that that's our main priority, is to build those schools, to find the funding to build those schools. If not, our schools are going to grow to a capacity where it will affect learning and also traffic and all these other concerns that are being brought up. So just always keep that in mind. So thank you. Superintendent Oliver?
Thank you. I want to address, we had an incident at one of our elementary schools earlier this week where a student brought an imitation firearm. And while this may be a toy kind of item when it's at home, I sent out a communication with Summer's help yesterday to all of our district families to encourage our families to talk with their children about what items they're bringing to school, check in on what's in their backpack, or they may not know that sometimes once an item is on campus and it's used in a certain way, that it becomes deemed a weapon with the California Department of Education. And so really want to keep that two-way communication with our families and make sure we're working in partnership to keep our campuses safe and to help children know how to differentiate what is okay at home versus what is okay at school. With that said, I want to really thank Dr. Prather-Smith for the outreach. We were able to have Mike Kimball and his associate debrief with us the day after the incident, talking about some proactive measures and things that we can put in place. And we got complimented on how collaborative our team is. And it's just the way we operate. But I really want to give her the credit for doing a lot of that outreach that night, getting us the right people at the table the next morning to have those conversations, and putting together a request that our chief of police, our county sheriff, as well as our probation, if we can set a joint meeting to talk about how these agencies interrelate with each other, how we can support each other, and ultimately support our students in our community. And so I will keep you updated as we progress. We've requested that. Dr. Summer Prather-Smith reached out and put that notice out. And so hopefully that'll come to fruition and we can start that conversation.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? No? Thank you for the update. Moving on to public comment. Is there any public regarding non-agenda items?
Yes, there is. This comes from Ana Garcia Raso, and she says, I am an ex-employee and parent of Santa Rita School District. I left because I made complaints against the principal and the union president at the time, who was also a custodian at New Republic there. There was never an investigation done, and when I turned in my resignation, that was when I was told basically, too bad. I was getting ready to start the investigation today. I will still investigate and give you the results. I never heard anything back on it. I loved my job. COVID made it hard on all of us, but I, at the time, had 2 kids under the age of 2 that with the new principal and her lack of concern, empathy, employee communication, and experience as a principal caused my stress levels to rise, which caused problems to arise in my marriage. Even after leaving, I have heard nothing but bad things about New Republic and the district. The one thing I would like to say is there has been a high rise in employees leaving, not just New Republic, but the district too. I worry about my kids attending school at Santa Rita schools. My oldest did not get her IEP meeting until the end of the school year, and my youngest was never helped with his speech therapy. And I pulled my middle completely out and did online school for her this year due to the fact I applied for a transfer to a different school because her home is the lowest for student and faculty morale. These are just a few concerns as a parent of Santa Rita School District.
Okay, thank you. And I request if you can please reach out to the parent and see if there's anything that we can help them with. Yeah, okay, thank you. Is there any other public comments?
No, there is not.
Okay. Is there any public comments regarding agenda items?
No, there is not.
Okay. Moving on to 8.1, approval of AB 1200, public disclosure for classified confidential. Please see attached AB 1200, public disclosure for classified confidential to be submitted to the Monterey County Office of Education per Educational Code Section 42131 with the following changes. For the 2021-2022 one-time bonus payment for each confidential employee, for 2022-2023 classified confidential salary increase for 5% to the salary schedule, health benefits increase to approximately 7% increase, and 2 employee reclassifications. This is an item by Rosa.
Yes, and I think you mentioned all of the information already. So this is something that we need to have ready by Ed Code and submit to the County Office of Education, and it's there for approval. Like I mentioned before, I've been working with Becky in collaboration with the HR. I want to check in with Melissa. I know we have Miguel Rodriguez on hold. I don't know if we want to go through these items first or.
Waiting for item 13.4.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, sorry, I got distracted. I was a little bit worried about that. So yeah, any questions for that?
I just want to say thank you, staff in the district office, for looking into that, and we appreciate our classified confidential employees. So thank you for being able to take care of them. Questions?
No, it was a comment, and just our comment for all our employees. Something as a board, we've really appreciated is, we years ago gave a directive to the district office to please, continually check that we're being competitive in what we're paying people, and as salary tables change out there, that it's a goal that we want people to stay and not have to leave because they can make more money elsewhere. So it's just something that's happening all the time, and we're always looking at our job descriptions and how we can do better by our employees. And with that, I would like to make a motion to approve.
Second?
Roll call. Did you have comments before, Ms. Bedell?
No, once again, just reiterating exactly what Sarah said. This board is committed to making sure our employees are competitively paid year by year by year. And that is a commitment we have honored year after year after year. So thank you for all involved. Once again, second that motion.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Neil Patel,
Aye, Captain.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, congratulations. Okay, moving on to 9.1, approval of new classified confidential salary schedule effective July 1st, 2022. This is an item by Ms. Becky Moore.
So 9.1 and 9.2 are both related to the AB 1200 that Rosa just presented. This is the classified confidential salary schedule with recommendations to apply the 5% increase that classified staff received, as well as reclassification for range 4, superintendent, secretary, payroll specialist, human resources analyst as reflected.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Neil Patel,
Aye, aye, Captain.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, 9.2, approval of one-time off-schedule bonus of 2,000 for classified confidential, classified management, and certificated management.
Thank you. This is essentially offering a Me Too that both CSEA and SRTA have received for the $2,000 one-time off-schedule bonus. And as an update to classified, their bonus, which was approved previously, will be in this upcoming paycheck.
Motion to approve?
Second. Okay, roll call.
Mr. Neil Patel,
Aye, aye, Captain.
Ms. Sarah Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, moving on to 10.1, approval of individual service agreements. This is
Perfect. That's me. So this is what it says, an individualized student agreement with Monterey Peninsula Unified School District to provide services to one of our students that's on a stipulated expulsion. So I've been working really collaboratively with the family trying to find the right program. So this is a program over at MPUSD to help meet those stipulations.
Thank you.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Neil Patel,
Aye, aye, Captain.
Ms. Sarah Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, item 10.2, approval of CNA contracts.
Perfect. So certified nurse assistants or CNAs, these are several contracts for them. Again, we have a couple of CNAs working with individual students. We have 2 CNAs working at sites, filling health aid positions that are open. So, and then we have one that's really supporting COVID protocols, calling families, and just parent outreach. So that's what these contracts are.
Considering the job market, I just want to say thank you that we have them. Without any motion to approve?
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Please? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Neil Patel,
Aye, aye, Captain.
Ms. Sarah Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, item 10.3 is approval of AALRR legal contract.
Perfect. So this is a legal contract with, I'm going to try, guys, Atkinson, Andelson, Layla, Rude, and Romo. It's AALRR. They're a law firm specializing in special education. So while we have a contract with DWK, they have had staff out and other just availability. So really just looking to have an additional contract to support. A couple of the lawyers in this firm were with DWK and then have branched out and become partners. And I've had the opportunity to work with them in a couple other districts. So really just looking to be even more proactive with some of our cases and special ed support overall.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Neil Patel,
Aye, aye, Captain.
Ms. Sarah Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, item 12.1, approval of technology team attendance at California IT and Education Conference.
Thank you. We are looking to send our IT tech team, Krisha, Hussam, Robert, and Sam, to the California IT and Education Conference and helping them broaden their skill sets and learn deeper about various things from new technologies and Wi-Fi connectivities, ideas, and E-rates, and broaden and helping them bring that back to us and supporting our district's IT program grow. And we've reached out to MCOE, who's already connected with Ms. Krisha Kerpel to support us in our IT needs while they are absent.
Okay, great. Motion to approve, Ms. Patel?
Yes, wholeheartedly, yes, yes.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Neil Patel,
Major aye, aye, yes, Captain.
Ms. Sarah Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Do they have room in their baggage? In their
I know, I was
baggage?
just gonna ask.
I don't weigh that much anymore. Just saying, maybe 2 bags, maybe 3.
Okay, item 13.1, approval of updated authorization list.
Thank you. This is our annual approval of who is allowed to sign on different documents for the state and with contractors, and it reflects staffing changes.
Motion to approve?
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Neil Patel,
Aye, aye, Captain.
Ms. Sarah Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, 13.2, approval of administrative coaching contract with Dr. Joseph Rudnicki.
Yes. Thank you. So one of the things that we had talked about as a board was getting some outside coaching, mentoring in a non-evaluative capacity for our principals. So we have secured Dr. Joseph Rudnicki, retired principal, actually retired superintendent, to work with our 2 middle school principals. And we will be bringing you forward another contract for our elementary. We're meeting with a couple of potential coaches. Really want to get the right coach to fit the scene. Dr. Rudnicki really impressed us with knowledge, ideas, thoughts on how to engage with them and be there for them. Quick phone call to run something by them, just to really shore up, help them build relationships with their staff as they're moving forward, coming out of the pandemic and getting some systems in place. And wanted to bring forward this since we already had it, and then hopefully we'll find our right coach for our elementary principals.
No, I'm excited about this item. I think anything we can do to help our principals who are vital positions in our district. So.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of, we have coaching for teachers, coaching for various positions, but it always seems like leadership, it's expected they're supposed to know everything. Well, not really, it's on-the-job learning as well as coaching. So I'm glad we're filling in that need. With that, motion to approve?
Second?
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Neil Patel.
Aye, Captain.
Ms. Sarah Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay. 13.3, approval of CSBA policy manual maintenance, June 2022.
This is our quarterly policy update with it didn't have a lot of adjustments this time. It reflects new legislation, things like that, and keeping us up to date with our board policies.
Yeah. And I support the recommendations on there as well.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Neil Patel.
Aye, Captain.
Ms. Sarah Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay. 13.4, information regarding formation of a bond committee and bond campaign activities.
Awesome. So we have Miguel Rodriguez from East Shore Consulting here to talk to us now that our measure has been placed on a ballot, and go over our timeline and kind of what's left for us.
Good evening, board members. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. Thank you. And so congratulations. I think there was a lot of work that went into getting us to this point. You may recall a couple months ago, we had looked at a timeline. I believe it was sometime in May when we laid out a series of steps that were going to be required on behalf of the board to call an election to put in front of voters of the district an authorization for bonds to fund certain modernization efforts for current schools in the district. And so just to go reference the timeline, I think you may recall that in addition to approving certain proceedings related to the formation of a school facilities improvement district, there was certain public hearings that you conducted, and then subsequent to that, you had approved the election resolution. So I think as far as required actions from the board, we have satisfied all actions to date in order to be able to put the election put the measure on the ballot. Now, the only other thing that I think was pending that has also been satisfied was the submission of an argument in favor of the measure. And so that also required a lot of effort on your behalf and different community leaders that signed on in support of the measure. And we've also been notified subsequently that from the county that there was no argument in opposition of the measure. Okay, so sometimes when there's both an argument in favor as well as an argument in opposition, then what follows is a rebuttal process. So that's not going to apply in this case. I think that without any registered opposition, it looks positive. And so I think that going back to referencing the timeline that we have presented to you back in May, you may recall that after August, leading all the way up until election day on November 8th, there was going to be really two items that were going to take place. One which was a public information effort on behalf of the school district to put out educational information to the community. Now, public information, I think, would really take the form of any factual information where the district informs local voters in terms of the purpose of the measure, and certainly highlight some of the needs of the district and what the intended use of the bond proceeds is. Okay, but I want to say that public information just stops there. There's absolutely no advocacy that takes part on behalf of the district. There's no sort of pushing in favor with respect to the measure. And so that would constitute a campaign activity or an advocacy that would go against certain rules and laws, right? And so where the district again is allowed to provide information, I think would be through the context of its typical forums. So sometimes as schools choose to use their websites or say Facebook or social media pages to provide that factual information. Sometimes there's also additional means through which school districts would put out very specific messages to say, for example, certain groups like your parents, which would be just a natural ally in this case, as well as other stakeholders, some large property owners or other segments of the community that you think would be interested parties in this case. So that's fair and good. Another means through which districts typically undertake public information are, say, for example, to coincide with some regularly scheduled events. Sometimes, for example, at around the time of coming back to school, there's open houses and school site visits and that sort of thing. And so sometimes districts would take that opportunity to inform parents or other folks that would attend those meetings as part of some of the needs of the district and some of the undertakings that the measure will be addressing. And so it can happen through the course, say, of a site visit where you would look at existing conditions and then highlight, I think, what some of those, again, what the needs are in a very factual way and far from indicating a vote of support or a position on the measure itself, okay? But with that said, I think recognizing that there is a lot of synergy and interest, certainly, and push for wanting to make sure that this measure succeeds, I think you board members, as well as the administration and different staff of the district, of course, still retain your First Amendment right? And so the requirement here is that as you want to go out and be more vocal in support of the measure, you certainly are able to do so, but recognizing that it cannot be on the district time, and certainly not without the use of any district resources. And so to stay squeaky clean and make sure that we're following the legal regimen, I think in this case, it's always advised to school districts or school personnel, staff, and board members that want to participate that they do so completely separate. And so a lot of the times we reference a firewall, for example, whereby anytime that you are in official capacity wearing your hat as a school board member or as a staff, then at that point, I think that would be a clear sign that you're probably not, necessarily at liberty to state positions for or against the measure. But as individuals, after 4 o'clock, once the bell has rung at the end of the day or on the weekend, you can do anything and rolling up your sleeves and going out, knocking on doors, talking to your neighbors or other folks to say, hey, let's get behind this and let's make sure it succeeds. And so I think that's the other part, aside from the public information, and I think this is where we're sort of straddling other efforts that are going to be more advocacy driven, more campaign related, have to really do with the campaign committee itself. I think a lot of the times it's in fact the case that's, you know, just naturally it's the leaders of the district, it's you know, staff members, teachers, parents that want to take more of an active role in the campaign committee itself. And so a lot of the times that, you know, it may be again that you can participate, but it would be so doing wearing an entirely different hat. And so I think that that works, but again, not without the use of any district time or resources. Okay. And so as the campaign committee would kick off, it would run almost parallel and align with some of the efforts of the district. Again, the district's efforts are public information and putting out factual information to the community. And the campaign committee, they have a little bit more flexibility. Obviously, you know, all the information that should be out there would be also factual. But, you know, I think in this case, it's the campaign committee that's at liberty to say, you know, get out, vote yes, et cetera, et cetera. So now that we fully registered the measure, now that the arguments are fully submitted, I mentioned that, you know, in terms of the board items that are going to be required to come before you, I think one item that would be pending a little further down the road once after the measure is approved is the formation of the committee. And this is one of the provisions that was required as part of the election vehicle that the district identified for Measure R is the composition of a citizens bond oversight committee. And so it's usually at the time after the election is approved, once you start taking active steps to sell bonds and deposit dollars in the bank, that typically districts start also notifying the committee and identifying certain individuals to sit as part of that oversight committee, okay? And so only then, but you know, it can be also that the district chooses to start advertising for that oversight committee well in advance of the election itself. And so it may be that if it's opportune and if it looks like there's active interest out there in the committee to start really forming the body of the oversight committee, that's something that the district can enact before the election itself. But again, there's no authority to that oversight committee only until after the election and only until after there's any bond proceeds to start overseeing. Okay, and so the last part really, I think, in terms of the board is concerned, really, I think for our role is continuing to provide you, be a resource, provide you any guidance, and certainly keeping you up to date in terms of any additional steps, any sort of responses that are going to be required if and so they come up in the community as we continue to again provide that public information. We've already drafted some frequently asked questions, a fact sheet. It's something that I think is a best practice in terms of our experience of some of the more prevalent issues that come up out there as we talk about bonds or tax rates, that sort of thing, just to get ahead of any sort of misunderstandings. You know, what are the bonds going to be used for? How are they going to be repaid? And what is it going to cost us? So those are some of the things that we will be addressing, I think, ongoing. And again, I think as you folks are out there in the community, you know, people, you know, do engage you. I think as board members, you know, recognizing that if you are wearing your board member hat, you know, refer them to the district staff or to us, and we'd be happy to then continue to make sure that they're led down the right path in terms of their understanding of the real issues here that relate to Measure R. Okay. Any questions? Any feedback?
I know you mentioned as far as the district sending out more informational items. So, like for example, is the district able to hand out, let's say, flyers at meetings or when parents come in, just stating there's a bond on the ballot, this is the amount, if passed, this is what it'll be? Or is there some type of format that we could potentially use where we can actually, hand that out?
The answer is yes. Yeah, you can absolutely put out that circulate that information. But I think again, it would follow a very strict format, and so for any Measure R information that you would choose to circulate, we would vet it first with our council just to make sure that it passes muster. But typically, I think as you refer to the bond itself, I think once you start wanting folks to take action on the measure, one way or another, that's where we start sort of really approaching that gray line. And so I think that's, again, any items with respect to the use of the proceeds, with respect to the needs, I think is reasonable and justifiable.
Thank you.
Well, that was my first question, so I'm glad we can vet things by you guys. How about signage at schools? Is that allowed?
Usually, I think that the signage would be in terms of the need, and anything referencing Measure R now starts, again, approaching sort of that political advocacy, and maybe it would just kind of not necessarily be as impactful as we'd want it to be if in fact we were pushing forward on one way or the other. Just to announce that Measure R exists on the ballot, is good, but I think sort of saying, hey, let's vote this way, or it's going to benefit our kids this way. I think that there, again, we start sort of going into that gray area, and so I think a lot of the times where districts have been able to start putting up signage, I think it's usually in the form of parents or other sort of your campaign committee that would take an active role on their own time to announce it to parents as they're dropping off their kids, and it's usually something that happens on election day. So maybe that's an image of something that you have seen in the past at other school districts. I think it's something that has a lot of force and it's very visible, and I think it goes a long way. But in terms of putting up a huge banner, maybe not such a great idea, because again, you can't really, at that point, that the banner itself would not contain a lot of the factual information that we would want to communicate. But yeah, it can be done. It can be done. So again, we would recommend that any content or what may be, first, if you can run it with us, by us, I think it would be very helpful so that we can coordinate with council and state plan.
And as we move forward with, if we do decide, or is it a requirement for the bond oversight committee? I mean, I'm all for it, but do we need to agendize that, like to create that, or how does that work?
Yes, I think that usually there's a couple of steps. One which would be the board passing resolution to announce the committee, starting active marketing of the committee. And by that, I mean just outreach out in the community for interested folks that would want to come forward and submit an application. Once there are a number of identified people that fit certain criteria, there's different seats on the committee that need to be filled. Different categories that relate to a parent or a member at large or a member of the business community or a member of a bona fide tax group. And so assuming that there are a variety of folks that are interested, then the board would also take action subsequent to announcing it and advertising it to approve those individuals to serve on the committee. And so those steps, I think, would again coincide with the actual with the approval of the measure after November 8th, and then also subsequent to the sale of the bonds, okay, or maybe they can happen concurrent with the sale of the bonds, but usually I think it happens once the district starts nearing the point where they actually have dollars to oversee. Okay.
Mr. Patel?
First of all, I want to thank you for your presentation and presenting the constraints we have to live within. But having said that, I remember when the city of Salinas did the Measure G campaign. They were very aggressive. They had mailers, television. They went very close to the line, but didn't cross it. I would hope that this board will pursue that same aggressiveness. I know we have McGill here as an advisor, if you will, a consultant on how close we can get that line. But I hope we get very aggressive and use all hands on deck, all methods possible, including putting signs up on our sites. I have a duty to present factual information of need. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to encourage them to vote, but I can show them pictures, I can show them videos of what needs to get done, I can show them the need of each site. We can present that through media, we can send it through mailers, we can send it to television. But I just want to let the board know my position is going to be very strong, and I want it to be very aggressive, and I want it to come very close to that line. I don't want to cross that line, but at the same time, I want to use every tool in the toolbox to make sure the factual, correct information is presented to our stakeholder group who will be voting on this. So I just want to let the board know I'm on all hands on deck. I want to be very aggressive. I don't want to cross that line, but if I seem to recall, when the city did it, they went all out.
But was the city a separate committee? Like
Nope, it was paid. It was sent through the media. It was sent through mailers. I remember that. And it came from the city. And in fact, there were people going, is this advocacy? And the city went to lawsuit and they said, no, it was not advocacy. They were presenting public information, factually based. So having said that, I just hope McGill understands that is going to be my perspective, is I would like to come to you to let us know if we are crossing that line, but I want to make sure we're aggressively close to that line. So we can present as maximum information, true information, correct information, so the public can make their own decision with advocating, but specifically presenting the needs, the repair needs. As I saw the ballot measure, I saw each school listed, roof, repairs, fire alarm system. Every person should know about these things. And whatever we can do to get that information out there, so be it. Thank you.
In the words of an esteemed leader, aye, Captain.
No, I was just reflecting back because recently I had a meeting with the city manager, and they were also saying that they're going to be looking for community members to sit on that committee because Measure G is coming up, and they were going to be the facilitators of that. So I'm very confused as, I'm hearing something different from Miguel. No, but it's coming up. It's coming up, yeah. It's coming up in 2 years. And so they're already, or 2 or 3 years. So, but I'm hearing something different.
But as far as what you're asking,
They were facilitating the creation of that committee to support. No.
The oversight.
No. I'm on the oversight committee for the committee to renew that.
I mean, to pass it.
To pass the bond.
And it's going to be up for voting, you mean?
Yes.
And the city was, yeah. Because even, I think, even the Lozano Smith, they sent us something saying kind of the
Okay,
opposite.
well, I thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
And I would, if I can just add to that, I think you typically see that in extension measures. So that where there is an existing tax where you are going to now reinstitute that committee going forward after assuming that there's a new approval, right? And so it may be that that's the case. And so districts a lot of the times, I think, use those committees as a way, a mechanism to also generate support for those extension measures. In this case, it's not, for us, it's not an extension. And so, it would be an entirely new committee. And so for that reason, I think, it would happen that sequentially there would be other things that would have to occur before we start really taking active steps to give form to that committee. That makes sense. Okay.
No, just as I sit on that Measure G oversight, and Mr. Patel was on there for a brief time with me, and the frustration from those committee members is, I understand they're not, the ultimate authority, but as those bylaws get established as far as what they oversee or what their authority is, in case they see that the bond measure is not being followed, I think they need to be, the bylaws or whatever, however guidelines we give them need to be very, not just, well, we don't agree with it, and then it comes to the board, and then the board just says, well, that's just too bad. If they're able to clearly outline why it's not in the bond measure, they need to be empowered as an oversight to have, I don't want to say some authority, but, there needs to be some kind of backbone to a stronger voice, because, it's been a battle, I think, since Mr. Patel was on the Measure G, that the funds were not being allocated properly, according to the bond language, and then, well, it's just too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I
But
think
once again,
we'll
come
get
back
it.
full
Yeah,
circle,
yeah, so far.
I just want to reiterate that I hope the board is in agreement that we be very aggressive informing our stakeholder groups the factual needs, the factual information, and to maximize that across all channels available.
So I think kind of what I'm hearing a little bit, so I think one thing is obviously what we can do as individual private citizens, and I think is also what the district, do you kind of have an idea as far as who will be kind of leading as far as on our district end to coming up with those factual sheets or the game plan? So, yeah.
So Miguel and his partner Michael have started putting together some factual information sheets just to run it by, like this is the type of information that is allowed for the district to share. He mentioned putting together an FAQ. They sent a draft of that to me just to really keep it clear. And so those informational pieces, as well as where it's appropriate for the district to communicate that out, working very closely with Miguel and Michael to make sure that we're staying above reproach on that. And then making sure that if, as people want to campaign for this, that they have access to the factual information as well, so that they can do their thing as trying to get people to pass the measure.
So besides the factual information, Miguel, like if Mr. Patel was kind of saying as far as this district being able to make some type of informational video where it provides the information of there's a bond, I'm not sure, based off of the sheets, this is what will get covered through it, that can kind of be disseminated. That's kind of...
We also have the opportunity, we can work with Miguel and we can secure an additional contract if we want additional services to assist in that part, or in sort of building even bigger capacity, being more aggressive. And so if that's in the interest of the board, I can pursue that with Miguel.
Yeah, I think that's that's right. I think that's a... Okay, you got Mr. Patel.
No,
yeah.
Our board president, I want to advocate that we use every channel possible. I want Miguel to get a directive from this board that whether it be television, radio, internet, Facebook, Comcast internet, every and each model, we have one shot to get this right. One shot, and this is going to be a very tough election. I want to make sure our message gets out, whatever way possible. I want to see information items when I turn on the internet, when I turn on the TV, when I watch the radio, when I pick up my mail. I want to see it everywhere.
Yeah, and
I have a duty to make sure that our stakeholder groups are properly informed of a major impact that's going to affect their children and then possibly their children's children. So this is not, a simple, hey, let's give it a shot and we tried our best. No. I want to make sure that we go into this with full force, with full effectiveness. We give it all. And if we fail, we fail. But I don't want to leave anything on the table. I don't want to leave any avenue that we could have used not pursued. And I'm hoping that the board will support that.
Yeah, and I think that's where there's two avenues. One is what we can do as the committee to campaign it, but I think I do want to explore, give you direction to find out what other services and contracts
Sure.
they would provide as far as
Of course.
yeah, making additional.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Miguel, I'll be in contact.
Thank you very much.
Presentation, I appreciate it.
And then, I know, Sarah, I'm not sure if you had other...
Thank you, Miguel.
Good evening.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. Where did we go left off?
13.5.
Okay, 13.5, okay. Discussion regarding board trustee health benefits.
Thank you. The board president had given me directive at our last meeting to look into this. Years ago, a little history. Years ago, our board members were able to access health benefits similar to district employees. And apparently, there's a board bylaw, stating that that's allowed. And past practice, I gather that it was in that 07, 08 timeframe. I wasn't here, but that the board elected to no longer opt into that, but they left the bylaw in place in the event that future boards wanted to reanalyze. We did ask Lou Lozano to take a look at this because there was a little piece of ambiguous language, and he gave us a suggestion on what we might put in place that would clarify that language. Just that the contribution requirement for a board member would be the same as one of our employees, and that you would pay it like a retiree who's opting into insurance.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, no, I reviewed the language. I like the language. It just cleared it up because it was kind of just up in the air.
Okay, Mr. Patel?
Yeah, I support keeping it, and cleaning it up, but honestly, the health and well-being of our board members, if we, I like to have experience on the board, and if we have members out there, maybe a retired superintendent, retired principal, in the upper age range, I don't object to having them participate in our insurance package, as long as they pay no less than existing members. With that condition, and I saw that in here, so I'm very supportive of it.
Yeah, and just for the public, this is actually pretty standard practice across all school districts. Our school district's the only district that doesn't provide that for our board members. And obviously, we put in a lot of hours, not that we're looking for pay and stuff like that, but it also helps attract new board members, because if not, what happens is you can only run for school board if you have the financial means to do it, because obviously it takes time away from your family, from holding a second job, from whatever it is. So it also kind of encourages and allows, if you're a single mom or single parent or whatever the case may be, to run for school board in the future and be able to have that.
And just to reiterate, not a single board member, here is a policy, we get any stipend, any pay whatsoever, so this does not affect that position of this board. Thank you.
Okay, so is there any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, so I think the direction is given is to put this on the following board agenda.
With that edit to add that clarifying language.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, and then that way board members, if they choose to, and the board members can still choose not to participate if they choose not to, we'll go from there. Okay, all right, thank you.
The only thing that I would ask when it's agendized for the next time is that we have the time, like at what point. So, in other words, if we agree that this is happening, when is it happening?
The effective date, yeah.
Yeah, the effective date. Thank you.
Okay, our next.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it ends at 65 or when Medicare.
Right,
kicks in.
and then when it ends, and then also if somebody is no longer serving, at what point, because our terms have a tendency to be finished in the middle of the month. It'll be like December 16th or something like that, to be able to say hey, that person gets coverage through December 30th, or they get coverage through the end of that year, if they're continuing to pay for it, just what the guidelines are.
That's good clarifying language. Yeah. Okay, 14.1, our next regular board meeting will be September 14th, 2022. And then 14.2, suggested future board items. Anything from the board?
I'd like us to have a discussion on the possibility of getting crossing guards. Especially as Mr. Patel says, I drive my kids to school all the time, and sure enough, they're dropping them off in the middle of the intersection. Sometimes on the left side, sometimes on the right side. And I think just having somebody there, help our students be safe. So the feasibility and the discussion about that.
Yeah, actually, that was a little bit on my mind as well. Yeah.
I would like to see this item regarding our measure on each and every board member meeting from this point forward until election day. As updates, status updates, what's happening, what our avenues of informing the public are. I would like for this to be a continuing item until election day.
Okay. Anything else? No? Okay, so just those two items. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn at 7:32?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Neil Patel,
Aye, aye, Captain.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Aye.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you, everybody.